I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorite subjects today, which is the Theta Brain Wave State. The reason why this is now, in the last 2 months for me personally, become one of the most exciting topics to talk about with you today is because I started having some crazy insights lately. I've had some things just come my way. I've had a lot of things just pop into my mind, and most of them were in the morning. And I kind of got into this wake up early, but when you wake up, don't get distracted, don't open your eyes, don't think, just to relax. And I tried to stay in this relaxed state and just be patient. And each and every day, I'm talking at least 90% of the time. 90%, that's to me huge. 90% of the time, I will get some form of creative insights, creative thoughts, ideas that will help me propel the vibe mindset, my personal life, whatever it is I'm focusing on at that point. And it's interesting because they're so powerful and they always happen at the same time, right within the first from waking up until maybe about a minute. So it's literally like the first 60 seconds of me starting to wake up. Now, at that point, I'm still keeping my eyes closed. I haven't actively switched from coming out of the sleep state to being in an awakened state because I'm aware of the different brainwave states. And so we're going to talk about those in a moment. But what I find is these insights just come my way. And so I want you to experience the same thing that I've been experiencing, because guess who also used the same technique but in a different way? Einstein. Now, I'm certainly no Einstein, but I'm using one of his techniques to become a mini Einstein, and so can you. So my name is Dr. Jay Kavanaugh of the Vibe Mindset, where we talk about activating your imagination, feeling now that which you desire, not waiting until it happens, and using just the power of your emotions, elevated emotions, your imagination, getting crystal clear on that which you want and who you want to become, and believing that you are worthy, capable of becoming that person and becoming 1% better by taking small little actions, such as creating your vibe. So let's get started. So let's first talk about what Theta Brain Wave State is for those of you who may not be aware. So this is the state of mind that you're in when you're very young, from like the age of like 2 to 6. And that's where a lot of us develop these limiting beliefs, or these beliefs about who we are, that we're not good enough or we're not worthy. And it's because we're in this very impressionable state. It's very much the same state that a lot of hypnotists try to get you into in order to be hypnotized. So you're in this like hypnotic, lucid type state when you're 2 to 6 years of age, and you internalize everything as fact. You don't have that rational, conscious filter, if you will, to kind of say, well, wait a minute, you're placing this label or this emotional tag to this event or this experience in your life. Perhaps that isn't right. Let's think about it. Let's rationalize this. Let's make sense of it. That ability doesn't exist. So it's when your subconscious mind is most programmable. And so, as you know, the subconscious mind takes in whatever you give it. So from 2 to 6, the subconscious mind is taking in all kinds of information without the filter to make sure that that which it's taking in is serving you. And that's a powerful thing, because think about how many of us are the way that we are because of something that we may not even be consciously aware of that took place between the ages of 2 and 6. Maybe it's, your sibling got more attention than you. Maybe it's your parents, whenever you screamed, didn't give you enough attention. Maybe you interpreted some of their actions, like, for example, if your father worked many hours, maybe you falsely interpreted at the age of 5 that when your father leaves, he leaves because he doesn't want to be around you. Now, these aren't conscious things. That's why you can't consciously say at the age of 5 you did this. However, think about all the trauma and all the difficulties and challenges many of us have, and you'll really start to gain this like awakening that it's like, wait a minute, have I just become who I am based on some labels I placed, emotional labels and emotional tags I placed on events early on in my life that I'm not even really consciously aware of, which is why it's tough for me to figure out? And the answer is very well possible, okay? So what is theta? Once again, theta is a brainwave state that once you get out of it from that age of 2 to 6, You also start to, as an adult, dance through it and come back throughout it when you go into sleep or come out of sleep. So let's say you are awake and you're in a beta wave state. So you're in beta. Then you start to get relaxed. You're like, oh, I'm getting tired. I might want to go to sleep. Then you drop down into alpha. Then all of a sudden, there's that fine line, which is very difficult to be aware of. And the more you consciously try to think about it, the harder it becomes something you can enter into, that theta state. But there's a point where alpha becomes theta. And that's that tricky little transition where what happens is you start to become very relaxed. Now, what's actually happening, if you think about it, is your eyes are closed, which, if you don't know, your eyes give you 80% of your sensory information. So just simply closing your eyes is enough to disconnect a big portion of your consciousness from the environment and allows you to very much relax. And then sound would be like the next thing, like your ears. So if it's a quiet, peaceful time, now all of a sudden you can start to really relax and get into those alpha and theta brainwave states. So what's interesting is when you go through those states, that's when your subconscious mind, even as an adult, starts to reopen and say, hey, we're open to a new program. You got anything you want to send our way? Anything you want us to impress upon the subconscious mind? Because we're open to it. So when that happens, that is a perfect opportunity for you before you go to bed to be extremely conscious of the final emotions and thoughts that you have. In other words, what's your vibe? Think about the vibe as like an acronym, right? That with us in the vibe mindset, the V is vision, the I is imagination, the B is belief, the E is emotion. What I like to do before I go to sleep is say, all right, what's kind of like my mindset? Where's my vibe at? It just turns, what's my vibe? I want my emotions to be either elevated or simply grateful, relaxed, whatever. I want my emotional state to serve me. And so if there's an emotion that I'm feeling before I go to sleep that isn't serving me, I want to shift out of that. Because I'll tell you right now, if I allow that emotion to shift or don't allow it to shift, when I wake up the next day, I start my next day and it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't feel right. There's something off. And I started analyzing and I realized, wait a minute, I'm not spending enough time and being an active participant in what I'm allowing my mind for 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep to digest and to feed on before I go to sleep. So I become very, 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 very aware of my thoughts and feelings right before I go to sleep, because I know that I'm going to pass through that theta state and I'm going to impress upon my subconscious mind. And I want to make sure that's a time when I'm actually feeding myself something good. I'm giving myself a nutritious brain meal, if you will, right? Now, so when you go to sleep, you enter into that theta state. So be very aware of your vibe. That's one thing I want you to do. It will totally change the way that you feel in the morning, and it will set the tone the next day for you. Try it and you'll see. Now, let's say you wake up in the morning. You not only when you go to sleep do you enter into theta, but when you wake up, you come out through it. So that's that state I was referring to, where in the morning I start having just so much creativity. It's like connection to source, God, universal intelligence, whatever you choose to name it. It is this time where you become super, super creative, and it just, ideas just flow. It's amazing for me. Now, it took a little bit of time to get there, but I highly recommend you consider putting some thought and effort into before you go to sleep and when you wake up, because I think that there might be some creative ideas and some answers to questions that you have, just like I've had, that are just answered. They're just answered. You're not thinking about it. You're not coming up with the answer. There's something inside of you. It's a part of you, but there's something inside of you. Like I said, whatever you want to name it, whatever you want to call it, whatever you choose is your choice. However, there is something. And that something is very informational and very smart and universally intelligent. Now, let's talk about Einstein. Now, and if you're not aware, one of the things that Einstein did, and this proves the point that there is this moment of creativity and insightfulness and ideas, right? So what Einstein would do is he'd keep this ball in his hand, okay? So he didn't know, by the way, what theta state was, but he was a smart man, so he did figure something out. He figured out what I figured out recently, which is that there is this time when insights and creativity come, but I want to enter it more often, is what Einstein said. So he said, well, how can I enter that brainwave state? Well, he wasn't saying brainwave state at the time, but that's what he was doing. But how do I get access, for lack of a better term, to the event that I know is happening within myself that is giving me this creativity, these ideas, these sparks, okay? And so what Einstein did is he would have this ball in his hand, and as he would start to get relaxed and start to drift off, what would happen is, just as he would start to fall asleep, you know what would happen with his hand? It would release the ball, and then it would make a loud noise and wake him up. And so what would happen is, the moment he woke up, he would immediately think, excuse me, I'm not editing that out. He would immediately think about what he was thinking about. And he knew he was tapping into something. So Einstein was smart and amazing, but through the universal intelligence and the signs and the information, the creativity and the ideas that flowed through him, he was like the conduit. He wasn't exactly the only one involved in my eyes, okay? So ask yourself, is there something here of value for you? Hopefully your answer is yes. How can I enter into that state? How can I come through it in the morning? One of the best things that you can do, if you want to simplify all this, is before you go to bed at night, think of 3 things you're grateful for. That way your thoughts are positive, your emotions are elevated, okay? Perfect vibe to create before you go to sleep. And then in the morning, set your intention and create your vibe and come up with some creative ideas first thing in the morning. Think about how you want your day to go. Create your day. When you wake up in the morning and you're going through that theta state, you're in a creative state. So why not take advantage of it and create your day? What do you want your day to feel like? What do you want your day to look like? What would you like to experience? It's your day. It's your life. The decisions you make based on that intention you set in the morning will determine how your day goes. If you set the intention of, I want to feel accomplished, I want to feel proud, and you go into that relaxed state of thinking, well, what would that look like? What would that feel like? Think about the vibe again. Envision, use the V, vision, get clear on what that would look like, what it would feel like. The I, imagine with all 5 senses. What would this feel like? Where would I be? What would I hear? What would I smell? Activate all 5 senses. Believe you're worthy and capable of becoming 1% better today. And then the E, those elevated emotions that feed all of this, okay? That's creating your vibe. Create your vibe in the morning, create your life throughout the day. This is the key to the vibe mindset. This is the key to using theta brainwave states to improving your life, gaining insights, gaining clarity, okay? Thank you so much for your time. Definitely share some thoughts below. I love hearing from you guys. I want to hear what you think. Obviously, I want you to subscribe. Obviously, a little comment below would be nice. But if you have any other questions, would love for you to reach out to me. I'm easy to access. Just look through the description below. We have some really cool links. We have a 11 days to elevate your emotion experience, which is amazing. I definitely recommend you consider doing that. And then also, we have a little Vibe Tribe membership area. And that's where you create your vibe, and we guide you through it. We have this really cool set of audio, guided imagery audios on a app that you listen to, and they are awesome. We've had some crazy results with people that have listened to them. We have a cool little community where you set your intentions, just like I was kind of mentioning, in the morning. So there's some really valuable stuff. It's really, really cool. I'm super proud of it, and it works. So if you have any questions, you know where to find us. And if you want to stick around YouTube, we got some more cool videos here. I mean, check out some of these videos. I like this one, and I actually like this one. Not just because I star in the videos, but because, well, yeah, that's why. I'm just kidding. The content's amazing. We put a lot of thought and effort into this, and I want you guys to be your best version of yourself. Thank you so much.